Good morning to you here from San Francisco, California. We are live here on this brand new edition of the You ORNS pre-match. Welcome aboard here on this Saturday as we get ready for the kickoff for Watford versus Blackburn Rovers. Richard, hello to you. Good to see you here. Thank you very much indeed. On Instagram, you are live everywhere across the world. Steve is here as well on Instagram. Thank you very much, Steve, and hello to you. It's great to see you all here on You ORNS pre-match for Watford versus Blackburn. Thank you very much indeed, Richard. Good morning to you as well here in San Francisco, California. Hello, Tracy. Good morning to you as well. Hope you are well. Nice to see you here, Tracy. As always, thank you very much indeed. We are less than 45 minutes away from Watford versus Blackburn Rovers. It's early in the morning here. Yeah, I'm just clearing the cobwebs out of my eyes as we get ready to say a good day. Of course, it's very early in the morning here, just about 3:50 in the morning. And it is right now in the UK, 11:50 in the morning as we get ready for Watford versus Blackburn. We've seen the lineups already, and it looks like a relatively unchanged side as far as I can see. We've got Jonathan Bond on the bench once again. A lot of Watford fans were hoping that he'd start this game, but it was very clear from the start. Tom Cleverley has said this a couple of weeks ago that if Dan Bachman is fit, he will start, and that's what he's doing today. Jess Bishop Jones has joined us on Instagram. Hello there. And on the YouTube, we've got Matt. Hello, Matt, to you on YouTube. I hope you are well this morning. Matt says, hey, Omar. Oh, great. Bachman starting. Let's just hope he doesn't play as badly as he played on Tuesday. Matt, I totally agree with you. We just hope for better for Daniel Bachman. I think he's going to have a better game today as far as I am concerned. I think Daniel Bachman is a proud man. He knows that he let the team down. He apologized during the middle of the week. And I do think that he is going to be a lot better in goal today. Matt, I just wanted to also say that I think the team is going to play well today. But I'm just curious as to what people's predictions are today. What is your prediction for Watford versus Blackburn Rovers? This team is unchanged pretty much. Doumbia, is on the bench, I believe, but everyone else is, look, it's an unchanged side. You've got Jefferson again out of the lineup. He's not in the picture at all today, but everybody else I think is as is. Larouci starts again. Ebeselli starts again. You've got TDB is still out. We know that. So I would really love to know from people what they predict the score will be today. I've got Watford 1, Blackburn 1 today. Blackburn are in 6th place at start of play. Watford in 9th. They're on 16 points. Tom Cleverley yesterday has said that Watford, he hopes, he's aiming for Watford to be back in the top 6 by the time we get to the next I almost said All-Star Instagram. I almost said Instagram. Next international break. Sorry about that. And so he is giving all the indication that he wants to get back into the top 6 after this next block of games by the time we get into the next international break, by the time we get to start that. So there's about 4 more fixtures, including this one, that we are looking at here before the next international break. And as I said, Tom Cleverley has his eye on the top 6 again. Watford in 9th coming into this game this morning. And Matt on YouTube says, so good to see Barr, Ince, and Porteous starting. It certainly is. I'm very happy about that, Matt. I think that Porteous has earned that start over Morris. I mean, Porteous isn't the very best defender, but he will give you an effort, and he will make tackles. He will go in and make some tackles on the pitch, which James Morris, to me, doesn't really do very much of. And he's much more forward thinking and aggressive than James Morris on that left side. So I definitely think that's a smart move by Clevs. And Matt, you've predicted 2-1 to the Golden Boys today. Matt, I hope you're right about that on YouTube. Thank you very much, Matt, for your prediction. Harvey on Instagram says hello to you, Harvey. Good to see you this morning as we get ready to get close to noon in the UK. We are just over half an hour away from the kickoff at the Vic, and it will be good to see Watford back at the Vic after seems like an eternity since they last played at Vicarage Road. Well, that's because, of course, we had an international break, and then we, of course, had Luton Town, and of course, that did not go very well for us last weekend. And then we, of course, in the midweek had Leeds United at Elland Road. So it's been a while since we've seen Watford at the Vic, and so it will be good to see the lads at home, the Golden Boys, back where they belong at home. And of course, that home form has been a really good thing for us this season thus far. And we'll be looking to continue that home form, of course, today at the Vic, where we go as far as that is concerned. And so Watford now have the same lineup. Yes, as Matt has alluded to, Barr, Ince, and Porteous all starting in this one. And it looks very good for Watford in terms of the way they are set up. Of course, they also have, the lads who were very key in that game against Leeds. Despite the loss, I thought Ince was very good. His set pieces are very good, very important. Ince was terrific, I think, on Tuesday night in defeat. Barr was brilliant, scored the goal, his second in the championship. Of course, he scored against Middlesbrough a couple of weeks before, just before the international break. And you've got to keep Barr in the lineup. You've got to keep him starting these games. When he is playing as dynamically and as well as he's playing, you have to keep playing the hot hand. Barr normally comes off the bench, but the last game or two, we've seen him start these games, and he's made a huge difference, brought some real fire in this game on Tuesday night. So we're hoping for more from him, of course. And hello to you, Sam, on Instagram. Good to see you, Sam. Hope you're well. This is the thing, just think about this. Just a few weeks ago, just in that Middlesbrough game, in the run-up to it, Clev said to us that we shouldn't really expect a whole lot from Barr. We're taking it slowly with him. We're just trying to wrapping him in cotton wool in a way. We can't put all these heavy expectations on him. He only scored 2 league goals last season when he was out on loan, wherever it was. I think it was Leighton Orient in League One or League Two, whenever it was. And Tom Cleverley, in a pre-match press conference that week, just running up to the Middlesbrough game, was making that very, very clear to people. And of course, that very Saturday, of course, he scored against Middlesbrough. So I just thought that was particularly interesting how that happened. But that's how it goes. We are perhaps expecting a lot from Barr, but Barr has grown into his role as a forward player. He is the best forward on our team. Obviously, he's not a striker, but my goodness me, he acts like one. Very forward-thinking player, somebody who is on the ball, on top of things, and looks very, very good while he does what he does. A genuine threat for Watford, a real attacking threat. He's got bags of confidence, much more confidence than obviously Dan Jebison has, and certainly it seems to have more than Bio has in terms of confidence as well. One thing that you see from Quadwo Barr that really impresses is his personality. He's got a really good football personality in terms of when he's on the pitch. He's got a real personality about himself. And so I'm really happy to see a young lad like this who has come up in the Watford ranks, who's been developed in the academy and all the rest of it. And what he's been able to do so far has been absolutely brilliant. So he's been a real jewel for Watford so far this season. Matt on YouTube says, I'm just hoping they've said to Ince, you deal with taking the set pieces, the set plays today, says Matt, after the balls he put into the box on Tuesday. Yeah, Matt, I'm hoping very much the same. As I said on social media on Tuesday night, can we have Tom Ince be our set piece taker for the rest of the season? Can we have that? I mean, he's just been brilliant with that, those 2 set pieces, or at least the 2 or 3 that I saw in that second half, were just absolutely perfect and should have scored on one of them. So I would love for him to be the designated set piece taker for the rest of this season. I think that if he keeps delivering footballs into the box like that, Matt, that's exactly what he should be doing. And Tom Cleverley, being the loyalist that Tom Cleverley is, has recognized Tom Ince and has began to put some trust in him to start these games. And some experience out there on the pitch is very helpful. And it's great to see, because I was very skeptical as one of those Watford fans that was very skeptical about Tom Ince being given a 2-year deal in the off season, but obviously he has so far played fairly adequately as a Watford player. He's definitely made some key plays and has made his mark. If I remember correctly, a few weeks ago, it might have been against Middlesbrough, he headed a chance off the line for us. It might have been against Middlesbrough, if I remember correctly, and that was in the second half of the game. So, or somewhere, either it was at the Middlesbrough game or it was away from home, he headed a chance off the line. So he's been very important in a lot of places for us, Tom Ince, this season. He actually has made some real differences for Watford in some games, and he's done the little things. I think the thing about Tom Ince is he's done the little things that make Watford get on track and do well in these games. It is now noon in the United Kingdom, and it is now 4 a.m. here in sunny, well, it's not sunny yet, here in San Francisco in the dead of night. So we are coming to you from across the world, if you will, and it's great to see you, fellow Watford supporters, here as we count down now to the kickoff between Watford and Blackburn. It is an early kickoff again for the second weekend in a row. There's going to be a lot of these this season because, of course, of the way the new structure is in the EFL, where these kickoffs go early. There's a new TV deal, of course, that's been done. So you get a lot more games. If you're watching us in the United Kingdom now, you get a lot more games starting at 12:30 in the afternoon. And you also get to see a lot more games in the UK, which is actually good. Not necessarily good for the clubs, although they do have revenue coming off of this new TV deal. But it's definitely good for fans who may not want to travel to some away destinations early in the afternoon. But of course, if you're seeing these games at home and you are in the United Kingdom and you are not at Vicarage Road today, or you're not near Vicarage Road today, then perhaps this would be good for you. But of course, it's great to be in these games early at the Vic. And look, I've said all the time, I think that it's a great idea to have these games early at times. It gives a lot of people a chance to get up and get out there early. But if you're at the Vig right now, it's great. And thank you, Tracy. Tracy on YouTube says, great commitment from you, Omar. Thank you very much, Tracy, for that. Really appreciate your words as always. Yeah, it's Tracy. It is early here in the morning, and I'm an early riser by trade. And sometimes I do get up this early in the morning when I'm not doing these pre-matches. And then sometimes, like last week when I was supposed to be here doing this, I don't get up as early. Didn't set the alarm, although normally I get up without alarms. But last week was not one of those situations. Woke up about 5 minutes into the start of the game against that lot up the road last week. And perhaps I should have stayed in bed anyway for the entirety of the game, based, of course, on what I would see once I did awake 5 minutes in to the match. But of course, wide awake here today. Thank you, Tracy, for your comments as always. And here we are. We are now just less than half an hour away from Watford versus Blackburn. Great to see you all on YouTube and here on Instagram as well. Of course, we'll be doing a post-match today. Would like to see you all here for that. We'll do that on X. We'll do that on Instagram. We'll also do that here on YouTube as well. Now, Gil, thank you very much indeed. That one's for you, Niall. Hope you are well, and I hope you are at the Vic today for Watford versus Blackburn. Great to see you as always. We are here live on Instagram with the You ORNS pre-match. Why is Backman starting, says Niall. Yeah, Niall, I have the same question as well. And my answer is I have no idea, not the foggiest idea, Niall, as to why Tom Cleverley insists on starting Daniel Backman. Obviously, I take hope that he will be better in goal today than he was last week and than he was certainly on Tuesday. I think he's going to be better. I agree with you, Niall. Jonathan Bond has got to be starting these games. But what Tom Cleverley has made clear over the last couple of weeks is and this is pretty much quoting him verbatim, if Daniel Backman is fit, he will start. That comes from Tom Cleverley. And as far as I'm concerned, I understand that, but he's not the better goalkeeper on this team. What we've got right now, we've got slim pickings in goal, Niall. But for me, you've got to start Jonathan Bond. I mean, that to me is a very obvious, and it's obvious to you. It's obvious to a lot of Watford fans, but it's not obvious, unfortunately, to the man who makes the decisions on the lineup. And of course, that is one Tom Cleverley, and he insists on playing Daniel Backman. Now, I think today Backman will be better, but whether or not we win this game will be quite another story. I have predicted a 1-1 draw. Matt on YouTube has gone for 2-1 Watford. What would your prediction be? Tom, this is what Niall says. I think Tom and Backman have some behind the scenes relationship. Well, put it this way, the only behind the scenes relationship I think they have, Niall, is that they were once teammates at Watford. Remember, just a few short seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, they were teammates on this Watford side. And I think that has something to do with what's going on with playing Backman, this insistence to play him. I think another thing, Niall, is the contract. The contract that Daniel Backman signed a couple of years ago, 5 or 6 year deal. I think it was a 5 year deal. That has a lot to do with it as well, him being a club captain. And I want to apologize to people because I said that he was not a captain. I said that Musa Sissoko, who is the in-game captain for Watford, but I dismissed what someone said on here as being incorrect. And I have to apologize. Backman is the club captain, but he's not the on-field captain for these games. Musa Sissoko is. So I want to put that straight and apologize and get that correct. But Daniel Backman is and was named as the club captain. And I think those are the reasons, Niall, that Tom Cleverley feels compelled to play him. In some ways, I think Clebs is in the corner. He thinks that he's got to be loyal to Daniel Backman. He used to play alongside him on the Watford team. I think that's a major part of all of this. And Tom is a very loyal guy. Tom Cleverley is very loyal for the most part. And so he rewards that. And I think that's what you're seeing here. Doesn't want to fracture that kind of bond they had as teammates on this side. And so I think that makes it easier, I think, for Clevs to play him. So that's another thing. Tracy says, well, it could not have got any worse. Yeah, it can't get any worse than what we saw at Tracy on this past Tuesday. And he admitted, he's a stand-up guy, Backman. He got the stick, and I gave him some of that too, that he deserved in terms of his ability on the field. But one thing I don't stand for is people attacking any Watford player personally. I think that's wrong. It's the wrong thing to do. It's a horrible thing to do, to go after somebody personally. You can go after Daniel Backman all you want for his footballing and his goalkeeping, because I have done that. But let's remember something. He's a human being like every player is. He deserves the stick he gets in terms of his goalkeeping ability. But when you're going after him personally and going after his family and attacking his family and all of this kind of nonsense and comparing him to these really evil people in history, there's no place for that. We've got to be better than that. And there are some of our fans who behave in that way, who absolutely lose the plot and act like a complete bunch of morons and do these really nasty things, like attack the man personally and attack him as a person and question his manhood or question his personhood and all this garbage that we have no place for. People have to really give their heads a wobble and check themselves and look in the mirror and ask if that's the kind of thing that they think is the right thing to do and how it reflects on them. And of course, on if they have a child or if they have a spouse, if they think that their child or spouse would approve of this kind of thing that they do. Because you have got some of them in our fan base, and Tracy's correct. At least he has the decency to face the fans. A lot of players wouldn't. Yeah, that's Daniel Backman. And I'm glad that you said this, Tracy. The man has character. He does. I said this on social media earlier this week on X. The man has character. And I called out this behavior, by the way, as well. Some of these fans, some of these Watford fans, I called that out. And I said that we've got to stop this nonsense. These fans that do that in our fan base, and it's a small minority of them, but they are in the fan base, and you have to admit it. You've got fans like this in every fan base. I don't subscribe to this idea that there are not fans, that these people who do this aren't real fans. They are real fans. They are. We just have to be honest and acknowledge that we have fans, a small group of them in our fan base who do horrible, vile things like this. We can't pretend that they're not fans or that they're not real fans. They are real fans. You've got people like this in all walks of life who, there's a small percentage of them who think this way, act this way, and behave this way. So that's something we just have to be honest about. We'd just like to root that out of our club. We'd like to root this out of society, but we know there's always going to be a small segment of people in society at large who are going to behave like this. And we just need to try to root them out and speak up against that lot. So that's why I spoke out about this very forcefully this week on X at the popcorn, at You ORNS WFC. Sorry about that. Tracy says, well done for calling them out, Omar. Thank you, Tracy. We don't need them at all. Graham Taylor would be furious up there. Yeah, he would be. I'm glad you pointed that out, Tracy, as well. Graham Taylor wouldn't have stood for this. He wouldn't have had any of it. And I remember him too very clearly because, listen, I would go to the Vic when he was managing this side back in the 70s and 80s. And so I definitely know he wouldn't have stood for that. In his program notes, he would have written something about it as well. I have not seen the program notes today, but I would hope that Tom Cleverley would have said something about this as well in his program notes, since he is supporting Dan Batman by starting him. I think would be good for him also to publicly say something as well, if he hasn't already done so. I've not seen it, but I would like to see him say something as well. Yeah, Graham Taylor, a great man he was indeed, Tracy. Thanks for talking about him today. Certainly, Graham Taylor is someone who set the standards at this club as the manager on a number of different spells for Watford, obviously during the 70s and 80s. He, of course, also came back to manage us in the 90s as well, certainly later on in the 90s when he got Watford back into the big time. Remember that game against Bolton, the playoff final, I think it was a 3-0 victory that day, or maybe 2-0, I forget the exact score. Alan Smart and Nick Wright scored the goals, as I remember them, at least from a long time ago at the old Wembley. I'm sure you remember that as well, when Watford got to the Premier League off of that playoff final. That was back in 1999. Graham Taylor, the greatest ever Watford manager. And Tracy, thank you for mentioning him today. Here we go for Matt on YouTube. He says, I think we need to start strong and build the pressure on Blackburn from the start and not let them get an early goal. Because I've had enough, says Matt on YouTube, of seeing these 5 to 10 minute goals against us. I have had enough as well with this, Matt. This is absolutely ridiculous. Watford's defense is the most problematic thing about Watford this season, as well as consistency. Those are the two things that are the most problematic for our Golden Boys this season: consistency and defending. And a lot of that, to me, Matt, has to do with the mentality of the side, the confidence level of the side. I think the confidence level ebbs and flows in football. And because you're playing games thick and fast, sometimes that confidence can really be very fleeting. It can be up, it can be down, it can be up, it can be down. These things happen a lot in football. And I do think it happens a lot more in teams when you go below the Premier League level. I think it becomes more pronounced in the Championship, in League One, in League Two, that there's a lot of fluctuation in confidence. It's not to say that players in the Premier League don't have this issue as well. Certainly some of the players do. But I just think it's the way that teams are in the Premier League is a lot more stable. And it doesn't have to be just about the money. I just think it's just a different environment and an attitude. And I think it can be more fickle as we go down the leagues in England. But we, as a team, our lads, have a real issue with this conceding, and it's a problematic thing. And it could cost Watford later this season when we're talking about a possibility of a playoff spot. Watford now are in ninth. You look at the goal difference in the top four, top 7 or 8 or 9 teams, and Watford's goal difference is the most adverse. We've conceded more goals, I think, than anybody in the top 10 in the league, and our goal difference really hurts us. I mean, it's -4 right now, I think, -4 at the moment, and that is the most adverse goal difference in the top 10 from what I can remember. So we really must impress upon on these lads to defend well, and it does come with confidence. It does come with the ability and the belief in ourselves. We are now just 15 minutes away from the start of this match, and I am concerned about that, which is why I've picked a 1-1 draw today, because I think that Blackburn will score. Now, I don't know that it's going to be in the first 5 or 10 minutes, Matt. I don't know what to tell you about that, but I can tell you that our defending is not very good. I don't think that's a surprise that anybody who is watching this. We all know this. It's obvious. But you look at the table here now. Watford's goal difference is a -4. Of anybody in the top 10, we have the worst goal difference. Now, Sheffield Wednesday, who are just outside the top 10, have a -5. But in the top 10, Watford have the worst goal difference at -4. We've shipped 19 goals this season. In fact, even Sheffield Wednesday, who are just outside the top 10, they've shipped 18. I mean, so we've shipped more goals than anyone except Portsmouth, who are bottom of the table. That is a big concern. I don't want to seem like I'm blowing it up out of proportion, but when you consider that QPR, who are bought second from bottom, have conceded 19, and Plymouth, who are just outside the relegation zone, have conceded 19, Watford Football Club have conceded more goals than anyone else except for Portsmouth, who are rooted to the bottom of the table. They've conceded 25. So that's a major concern. Watford's defending, and I know Tom Cleverley's talked about this in the last few days, is something that they've got to improve upon if they are going to have any aspirations whatsoever of getting into the top 6, as he wants them to get. He wants Watford to be in the top 6 by the time this season starts. I don't know if that's going to happen. I really do not know. We have to defend better, though. I know that. And so I really think that Watford have got work to do defensively, and hopefully we'll see something like that today. We've not kept a clean sheet lately in these games. So I don't think we've kept a clean sheet in any of the last 4 or 5 games that we've played, if not more than that. So we'll see about that. And here Matt goes with this comment on the YouTube. This will be the last comment I'll take before moving on and saying goodbye for now. But Matt on the YouTube says the following: "That's what's good about Cleverley. He knew he made a mistake during the game on Tuesday, because during his interview," says Matt, "after the game, he admitted he didn't make the right calls at the right time." And Matt, thank you for the comment. Matt, it's very easy to forget that Tom Cleverley's been only been manager for roughly 20 games. He's been manager for just 20 games. And so it's very easy to forget that if you're a Watford supporter. And remember, he came in for the last 9 games of last season. And so far this season, he's managed the first 11 championship matches. So really, it's 20 championship. He's managed, obviously, some Carabao Cup games, a couple of them. But remember, he's only managed 20 championship games for Watford, bridging these 2 seasons. And so it's easy for a lot of us to forget, Matt, that he's actually done that. And it's only been 20 games in the championship. So he's still learning. He's still learning as a manager. This is his first head coaching gig, if you will. And so, again, I'm not making excuses for Clevs, but he is still fresh at this job. Now, granted, he was with the under-18s or under-19s. He managed the under-19s or under-18s at Watford. But that's not the same as managing on professional level with these lads. And so he's still going to make some mistakes. And largely this season, and since he's been here, Tom Cleverley has not made too many mistakes. You can look at the game against Luton, perhaps, and you can look at a couple of things against Leeds, but certainly against Luton, he can come in for some stick in terms of tactics, perhaps. His subs weren't quite on. And against Leeds, yeah, there were some mistakes made. I would have started made some. He didn't react. I'll put it this way: he didn't react well against Leeds, and he didn't react at all against Luton. So those two games, he's made a couple of mistakes there, certainly. But today, I think that the tactics and everything is going to be a lot more focused, and we will get, I think, a lot more out of these lads today. Home, sweet home. And I would love to see a victory. And Tracy, and thank you, Tracy, for your comments that said, I want to be positive and love to see a 3-1 victory. Positivity is what is on the table and what we love as well. And Tracy certainly exhibits that with her comment today about a 3-1 Watford win for the lads today at the Vic, where we continue to defend our home turf very well. Let's continue that today, shall we? Watford 3, Blackburn 1. That is what Tracy predicts. Tracy, thank you again very much for your comments today on Instagram. Hope to see you after the match here on You ORNS post-match Instagram extra. You ORNS Instagram, You ORNS Extra on Instagram Live. And Tracy, thank you very much indeed. Matt, for your comments as well, thank you very much. Niall on Instagram, and all of you who've commented across the platforms, thank you so much indeed. We are now 10 minutes away from kickoff Watford versus Blackburn. I'll be back here after the game, of course, live on YouTube, live on X, and also on Instagram just a few short minutes afterwards. It is absolutely terrific to see you all as always, and I'll see you after the match. Watford against Blackburn kicking off in just under 10 minutes time, and it's fantastic to see you all here. So from me, Omar, wishing you all a very good game. Of course, great game. We look forward to it. Thank you, Tracy, for your comments. Thank you very much indeed, Matt, as well. Take care and be well, and come on, you ORNS. And until after the game, you ORNS. Take care and come on, you ORNS. See you after the game.